The first thing Ava Brooks saw when she opened the apartment door was her rival sitting on the kitchen counter like he owned the world. And technically, he did. Luca Devereux wore a black hoodie that probably cost more than Ava's entire semester tuition. One hand lazily held a coffee mug while the other flipped through a finance textbook he clearly didn't even need to study. His sharp gray eyes lifted slowly. "You're late," he said flatly. Ava tightened her grip on the two suitcases she dragged through the rain. "I'm not late. I live here now." Luca looked irritated by the reminder. "Temporary arrangement," he corrected. Ava almost laughed. Temporary? Everything in her life was temporary. Her scholarship, her cafeteria job, her tiny savings account, even her place at Blackwood University felt borrowed. 3 days earlier, the school had discovered flooding damage in the women's scholarship dormitory. Students had to be relocated immediately. Most found friends or family nearby. Ava had no one. So the university made a decision nobody expected. They paired her with Luca Devereux. The same Luca who had publicly humiliated her during an economics debate 6 months earlier. Heir. The same Luca who acted like emotions were inefficient business expenses. The same Luca whose billionaire father funded half the university. Ava hated him instantly, and apparently the feeling was mutual. "You can take the guest room," Luca said coldly. "Stay out of my office. Don't touch my coffee machine." Ava rolled her eyes. "Wow. You're surprisingly welcoming. I wasn't given a choice." Neither was I. Silence stretched between them. Rain hammered against the apartment windows overlooking downtown Chicago. The place was massive modern furniture, marble counters, floor-to-ceiling windows. Ava felt painfully out of place in her thrift store hoodie and worn sneakers. Luca noticed her staring. "What? Nothing," she lied quietly. But it wasn't nothing, because for the first time in years, Ava realized how exhausting poverty really was, not just financially, emotionally, the constant calculations. Can I afford coffee this week? Can I skip lunch today? Can I survive another month pretending everything's okay? Meanwhile, Luca moved through life effortlessly, untouched by worry. At least that's what she thought. The first week living together was a disaster. They argued over dishes, over noise, over thermostat settings. Luca called her stubborn. Ava called him emotionally constipated. One night, after an especially brutal argument about respecting personal space, Ava stormed into the kitchen at 2 a.m. searching for instant noodles. Instead, she found Luca sitting alone in darkness. No designer confidence, no arrogant smirk, just silence. His laptop screen glowed faintly beside him. Ava noticed spreadsheets filled with hospital expenses, medication costs, private treatment centers. She froze. Luca shut the laptop immediately. "You saw nothing." Ava hesitated. "Who's sick?" His jaw tightened. "My sister." The answer came sharp, reluctant. "She has a heart condition." Ava blinked slowly. "She's 12, he added quietly. For the first time, Luca looked tired instead of intimidating. Ava didn't know what to say, so she simply sat down across from him. No insults, no rivalry. Just two exhausted college students sitting in silence at 2 a.m., and somehow, that moment changed everything. Over the next few weeks, the tension between them softened. Not magically, not instantly, but gradually. Ava started leaving. Extra coffee for him during exam week. Luca secretly repaired her broken laptop after noticing her struggling in the library. When Ava caught the flu, Luca skipped an important networking dinner to bring her soup and medicine. "You didn't have to do that," she whispered weakly. He shrugged awkwardly. "You look terrible." She laughed for the first time in days, and Luca stared a little too long when she smiled. That scared him more than anything, because romance had never been part of the deal. Luca didn't do relationships. People liked his money, his name, his future inheritance. Not him. But Ava was different. She argued with him constantly, mocked his expensive watches, forced him to volunteer at community shelters for extra credit, and somehow, she made him feel human again. One snowy evening, Ava returned home soaked and shivering after her second job. Luca frowned immediately. "Where's your coat?" She avoided eye contact. "I sold it. What? I needed money for textbooks." Luca stared at her in disbelief. "You sold your winter coat." "I'm fine." "No, Ava, you're freezing." I said I'm fine, but her voice cracked halfway through the sentence. Suddenly all the pressure she'd carried for years burst open. "I'm tired," she whispered. "I'm so tired of pretending everything isn't hard." Luca stepped closer carefully. Ava rarely cried. That's why seeing tears in her eyes nearly broke him. My scholarship barely covers tuition, she admitted shakily. I work 2 jobs. I skip meals. I keep smiling because if I stop for 1 second, I'll completely fall apart. Luca's chest tightened painfully because nobody had ever told him the truth so honestly before. Not business partners, not classmates, not even his own father. Ava finally looked up at him. I hate needing help. Luca's voice softened. Then don't think of it as help. She frowned slightly. Think of it as someone finally caring enough to notice. That was the exact moment Ava fell in love with him. Not because he was rich, not because he was handsome, but because beneath all his walls and arrogance, Luca saw people others ignored, including her. A few days later, Ava discovered something shocking. Her anonymous tuition balance had been paid in full. Every semester, every fee, every textbook expense, paid. She stormed back to the apartment furious. You promised not to help me financially. Luca looked up calmly from the couch. I didn't. Then who did? He stayed silent, which was answer enough. Ava's eyes filled instantly. You can't just save people like that. Luca stood slowly. I'm not saving you. He walked closer. You saved me first. Ava's breath caught. For years, Luca admitted quietly, everyone treated me like a last name, a future CEO, a bank account. His eyes locked onto hers. You were the first person who ever treated me like I was worth something without any of that. Ava couldn't speak. Outside, snow drifted softly across the city lights. Inside, 2 rivals stood inches apart, realizing neither of them had been fighting each other all along. They'd been fighting loneliness, and somehow, together, they finally stopped losing. After that night, everything changed, but neither of them said it out loud. Ava stopped slamming doors. Luca stopped acting like silence was the only language he understood. But the distance between them didn't disappear, it just shifted into something heavier, something unspoken, something dangerous. Because now, every small moment mattered too much. Lick it. The way Luca always made coffee exactly how Ava liked it, even though she never asked. Or the way Ava started noticing when Luca didn't sleep, sitting in the living room at 3 a.m. staring at spreadsheets he never explained anymore. They were no longer rivals, but they weren't anything else either. And that uncertainty was worse. One morning at university, everything exploded again. Ava was walking across campus when she heard whispers. Not casual ones, sharp ones. She's living with him, scholarship girl got lucky. Obviously she's using him. Her stomach dropped. By the time she reached her lecture hall, someone had already printed screenshots. Private ones. Her name. His name, pictures of their apartment building entrance, and a caption that made her blood run cold. Scholarship student exposed in Billionaire heir scandal. Ava's hands trembled. She didn't even understand how. She hadn't done anything. But people never needed truth to ruin someone. They just needed a story. That evening, she didn't go home. Instead, she sat alone in the library until it closed, pretending she wasn't shaking. When she finally stepped outside, Luca was there, leaning again. Still his car, waiting. You saw it, he said immediately. Ava didn't answer. Get in, he added. I'm fine. Luca laughed once sharp and humorless. No, you're not. She finally looked at him. For the first time, he wasn't calm. He looked angry, not at her, at everything else. At the world, at the people who had decided her life was entertainment. I didn't do anything wrong, Ava whispered. I know. But they still made me look like he repeated, softer this time. And something in his voice broke through her anger, because he believed her instantly. No questions, no hesitation, just certainty. Back at the apartment, Ava finally snapped. They're saying I'm with you for money, she said bitterly. That I'm some charity case you're playing with. Luca's expression darkened. Do they think I need a reason to help someone? That's not the point. What is the point then? He asked sharply. Ava froze. Because she didn't have an answer, the silence stretched. Then Luca stepped closer. You want the truth, he said quietly. Her heart beat faster. I never planned for you to matter, he admitted. Ava blinked. That sounds great. But you do, he continued, voice lower now. And that's the problem. Her breath caught. Because that wasn't supposed to happen. Not between rivals. Not between 2 people from completely different worlds. Not like this. The next day, things got worse. The university launched an investigation. Pressure built. Rumors spread faster than explanations. And Ava, exhausted and overwhelmed, did the only thing she knew how to do. She tried to disappear. She left a note on the kitchen counter. Short, simple. I'll find another place. This is too much trouble for you. That was it. No goodbye. Just silence again. Luca came home that night and saw it, and for the first time in his life, he felt something close to panic. He called her. No answer. Again. Nothing. His grip tightened on the phone. Then he grabbed his keys and left. He found her 2 hours later at a small bus station outside campus. Rain falling again. Of course it was rain. Ava stood under a dim light, holding a single backpack. She looked smaller than he had ever seen her. Don't, Luca said immediately as he walked up. Ava didn't turn. I can't stay, she whispered. Yes, you can. No, she shook his. Our head. I ruin things. That's what I do. Luca stepped closer. For someone who ruins things, he said quietly. You fixed a lot of mine. That made her finally look at him. Her eyes were tired, defeated. I'm not worth the trouble, she said. Luca went silent for a moment. Then he spoke, voice steady but low. Then why am I the one losing sleep when you're not around? Ava's breath hitched. He took another step closer. I didn't come here to let you leave, he added. She swallowed hard. This isn't a deal, Luca. I know. This isn't business. I know that too. A pause. Then, softer. Then why? She asked. And for once, Luca didn't hide behind logic. He didn't calculate. He didn't think. He just said it. Because it was already too late not to. Because I don't want you gone, he said simply. The rain fell harder, but neither of them moved. Ava didn't move for a long moment. The rain blurred everything around them, streetlights, passing cars, the distant noise of the city, but Luca's words stayed sharp in her mind. I don't want you gone. It should have been simple. It wasn't, because simple things didn't shake her chest like that. I don't understand. And you, Ava finally said. Luca exhaled slowly, running a hand through his wet hair. You don't have to. That's not an answer. It is the only one I've got right now. Ava looked away, gripping her backpack tighter. The station behind her was half empty now. Last buses leaving. People going somewhere else. Somewhere easier. She should have stepped onto one of them. She didn't. Back at the apartment later that night, silence felt different, not peaceful. Heavy. Luca stood near the window, watching the rain slide down the glass like cracks in something fragile. Ava sat on the couch, still fully dressed, like she wasn't sure she was allowed to exist there anymore. You were going to leave without saying anything, Luca said finally. Ava didn't deny it. That's what people like me do, she replied quietly. We leave before we get left. That sentence hit harder than either of them expected. Luca turned toward her. Who taught you that? Ava gave a bitter laugh. Life. He didn't respond immediately. For once, Luca looked like he didn't have control over the situation. That was rare. Uncomfortable. Real. Days passed after that without clarity. Not separation. Not closeness. Just tension stretched thin like glass about to break. At university, the rumors didn't stop. They got worse. Now it wasn't just about Ava and Luca living together. It was about favoritism, money transfers, secret relationship. Ava stopped checking her phone. Luca stopped attending meetings. Neither of them admitted why. Until one afternoon, everything snapped again. Ava was pulled out of lecture by administration. 2 officials, serious faces. Miss Brooks, one said, sliding a folder across the table, we need clarification regarding financial discrepancies. Her heart dropped. What discrepancies? The man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pushed a document toward her. Bank records, tuition payments, transfers tied to Luca Devereux. Ava felt the room tilt. This isn't mine, she said quickly. I didn't ask for any of this. We need a formal statement, the woman replied. Ava stood abruptly. I didn't steal anything. No one said you did. But the silence after that said everything else. When Luca found out, it wasn't from her. It was from a phone call mid-meeting. His expression changed instantly, and for the first time, everyone in that boardroom saw something dangerous in him. Not arrogance, not privilege, anger. He walked out without apology. Ava was still sitting outside the administration building when he arrived. You didn't tell me, he said immediately. Ava looked exhausted. I didn't want more problems. Luca stopped in front of her. You think you are the problem? I think I make things worse for you. A beat. Then Luca crouched slightly so he was at her level. That, he said firmly, is not your decision to make. Ava swallowed. Her voice was quieter now. They're going to suspend me. They won't. How do you know? Luca stood. Because now something had shifted in him too. Something permanent. Because I'm done letting people decide what happens to you, he said. That night, everything escalated. Luca walked into the university board office. Without appointment, without permission, with documents. Proof, every payment traced, every transfer explained. And for the first time, the university realized something important. This wasn't manipulation. This wasn't scandal. This was responsibility. And he was taking it all. Outside, Ava waited. Hours pass. Night deepened. Finally, Luca walked out. Tie loosened. Expression tired. But steady. It's handled, he said. Ava stood slowly. What did you do? Luca looked at her for a long moment, then answered honestly. I made sure they stop looking at you like a mistake. Ava's throat tightened. That's not your job. I know. Then why? He cut her off softly. Because I choose it. Silence. This one different again. Less heavy. More honest. Ava searched his face. You keep doing things like this, she whispered, and I'm going to start thinking you care. Luca didn't look away this time. Maybe you already should. Her breath caught. Neither of them moved. The world around them didn't matter anymore. Only the space between them did. And for the first time since it all began, neither of them tried to run from it. After that night, something unspoken settled between them. Not peace, not conflict. Something in between, fragile enough to break with a single wrong word. Ava stopped pretending she didn't notice Luca watching her when she wasn't looking, and Luca stopped pretending he didn't notice everything about her. The way she pushed her hair behind her hair, ears when she was stressed, the way she got quiet when she was thinking too hard, the way she still acted like she didn't deserve any of the help she received. But the world outside their apartment wasn't done with them. The scandal didn't disappear. It evolved. Now it was everywhere. University pages, student forums, even anonymous gossip accounts. Ava Brooks had gone from scholarship student to billionaire scandal girl, and Luca Devereux had gone from untouchable heir to reckless reputation risk. Neither label was true, but truth rarely mattered when stories were more entertaining. One morning, Ava walked into campus and froze. A crowd. Phones out. Whispers rising. Someone had posted a video. Her walking out of Luca's apartment building early in the morning. Cut together with old photos. Edited captions. False assumptions. Laughter followed her down the hallway. Ava's hands shook. Not from fear. From humiliation. She turned around immediately and left campus before her first class even started. She didn't go home. Not at first. Instead, she ended up sitting on the rooftop of an old parking structure, knees pulled to her chest, wind cutting through her jacket. She hated how small her life felt, how easily it could be twisted, how quickly people decided who she was without ever asking. Behind her, footsteps echoed. She didn't turn. I knew I'd find you here, Luca said. Ava sighed. I just needed quiet. You ran, walked to pause. Then Luca sat beside her. Not too close. Not far, just there. They won't stop, Ava said quietly. I know. I didn't ask for any of this. I know that too. Her laugh was hollow. Then why does it feel like I'm being punished anyway? Luca didn't answer immediately, because there was no simple answer. Instead, he looked out at the city. Do you know what my life used to be like? He asked. Ava frowned slightly. Perfect? Luca gave a faint, humorless smile. Controlled. That surprised her. I didn't choose anything, he continued. Not friends, not expectations, not even my future. Ava listened silently. So when you showed up, he added, voice lower now, arguing with me over stupid things like coffee and deadlines. It was the first time something felt real. Ava's chest tightened slightly. That's not my fault, she said softly. I know. Another part. Use. Then Luca turned toward her. But you changed things anyway. Ava looked down. I don't know how to fix this, she admitted. You don't have to fix it alone. That's not how my life works. Luca leaned back slightly, exhaling. Then maybe your life is wrong. That made her look at him. You say that like it's simple. It is, he replied. People are just making it complicated. A faint silence followed. Wind moved between them. City noise far below. Ava finally spoke again, quieter this time. If I stay, it just gets worse for you. Luca shook his head immediately. No. Yes, it does. No, he repeated firmly. It gets worse if you leave. That stopped her. Because it wasn't said like a request. It was said like a fact. For the first time, Ava didn't argue. She just stared at the skyline. And Luca stayed beside her without trying to fix anything, just staying, just there. Until the noise of the world felt a little further away than before. The days after the rooftop conversation didn't bring relief. They brought pressure, different kind, quieter, heavier, because now Ava wasn't just surviving rumors, she was living inside them. Every hallway felt like it bent around her presence. Every glance felt loaded, and every whisper felt like it had her name carved into it. Luca noticed the change immediately. Ava stopped laughing, stopped arguing back, stopped eating properly. She still showed up to classes, still forced herself to study, still kept moving, but only just. Like something inside her was slowly shutting down. One evening, Luca found her in the kitchen staring at a cold plate of food she hadn't touched. "You didn't eat," he said. Ava didn't look up. "Not hungry. That's not true," she sighed. "Can you just not do this right now?" Luca paused. That wasn't anger. That was exhaustion. And it hit him harder than anything she'd said before. He stepped closer. "Ava." She finally looked at him, and for a split second, Luca forgot how to speak. Because she looked worn down in a way he hadn't seen before. Not broken, but close. Too close. "I can handle the rumors," she said quietly. "I can handle people talking. I've done it before." A pause. "But I can't handle feeling like I'm dragging you down." Luca frowned immediately. "You're not dragging me anywhere. Do lost meetings. Your reputation, my reputation survives." He interrupted. Ava shook her head. "That's easy for you to say." "No," Luca said more firmly now. "It's easy for them to say, not me." Silence fell. He leaned against the counter across from her. "You think I didn't choose this?" he asked. Ava frowned slightly. "Choose what?" "This situation," he said. "You. Everything that came with it." Her voice softened. "You didn't choose scandal. I chose you," he corrected. That stopped her completely. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just enough to make the air feel different. Ava looked away first. "That's exactly the problem," she whispered. Luca's expression tightened slightly. "Why is that a problem?" "Because I don't know what that means," she said honestly. "I don't know what I'm supposed to be to you." A pause. Then quieter. "And I don't know what I am allowed to be." Luca didn't respond immediately. For once he looked unsure, not of her, of himself. "I'm not good at this," he admitted. Ava let out a small, tired laugh. "That might be the first honest thing you've said to me in weeks." A faint shift in his expression, almost amusement, but softer. "I've never had to explain anything like this before." "Explain what?" he hesitated. Then, "People usually just accept what I give them." Ava blinked. "That sounds lonely." Luca didn't deny it. The silence between them didn't feel empty this time. It felt full, of things neither of them had learned how to say properly. Later that night, everything broke again. Not emotionally, practically. Ava received an email, scholarship review notice, mandatory hearing. Her stomach dropped the moment she read it, because she already knew what it meant. When Luca saw her face, he knew something was wrong instantly. What happened? Ava handed him the phone without a word. He read it once, then again. His jaw tightened. "They're trying to remove your scholarship," he said. Ava nodded slowly. "I can't fight this," she whispered. "Not with everything going on." Luca's voice turned sharp. "Yes, you can." She shook her head. "I'm tired, Luca." That sentence again. Different this time. "Fine, Ayla." Luca went quiet. Not because he didn't have an answer, because he did, and he didn't like it. "They're doing this because of me," he said finally. Ava frowned. "That's not it is," he cut in. "My name is attached to everything you do now, whether you like it or not." A pause. Then Kai. "Etta. And they're using that to push you out." Ava looked down at her hands. "I just wanted a chance," she said softly. "That's all." Luca stared at her for a long moment, then made a decision. "I'll fix it," he said. Ava looked up immediately. "No." He didn't flinch. "Yes, you can't just I can," he interrupted. A beat, and I will. Stepped closer, frustrated now. "Why do you keep doing this?" Luca's voice dropped slightly. "Because nobody else will." Silence. Then softer, almost like an admission he didn't plan to say. "And because I don't want you to disappear from my life." That was it. No decoration. No hiding. Just truth sitting in the open between them. Ava didn't respond right away, but for the first time she didn't step back either. The hearing day arrived faster than Ava expected. Too fast. Like the world had decided she didn't deserve time to prepare. The university hall was colder than usual. Not in temperature, in atmosphere. 3 professors sat at the front table, faces unreadable. Files stacked neatly in front of them like evidence waiting to be used. Ava stood alone. No friends beside her. No family to call. Only silence. And then she fell. It. The shift, whispers spreading through the room, because Luca had walked in. He didn't take a seat in the audience. He didn't stand at the back. He walked straight to the front and sat beside Ava, like he belonged there, like she wasn't alone. One of the professors cleared his throat. Mr. Devereux, this is a private academic hearing. Luca didn't look at him. I'm aware. Then you should leave. No. That single word made the room go still. Ava leaned slightly toward him. You didn't have to come, she whispered. Luca didn't move his gaze from the panel. Yes, I did. Her voice tightened. This isn't your fight. Now he finally looked at her, and his expression softened just slightly. It became my fight the moment they decided to use me against you. The hearing began. Documents were presented. Statements were read. Rumors were repeated carefully, dressed up as concerns. Ava listened silently as her life was reduced to fragments of suspicion. Her scholarship, her living situation, her name. Then came the question. Miss Brooks, one professor said, do you believe your financial situation influenced Mr. Devereux to provide support? Ava froze. The room felt like it tilted again. Before she could answer, Luca spoke. No. The professor frowned. Excuse me? Luca leaned forward slightly. She didn't influence anything, he said clearly. I did. A murmur spread through the hall. Ava turned to him immediately. But he didn't stop. I initiated every payment, Luca continued. Every transfer, every expense. The room grew tense. This was not manipulation, he added. It was responsibility. Pause. Then quieter but sharper. And if you're suggesting otherwise, you're insulting your own institution's ability to understand basic consent. Ava's breath caught. Because he wasn't defending himself. He was protecting her. Fully. Openly. Without hesitation. The professors exchanged looks. One of them spoke carefully. Mr. Devereux, this creates a conflict of interest. Luca nodded once. I agree. Ava turned toward him quickly. What? He finally looked at her again. And this time his voice was lower, calmer, certain. Then I'll remove the conflict, he said. Ava's heart dropped. What are you talking about? Luca turned back to the panel. I'm withdrawing my financial involvement in this university effective immediately. Gasps in the room. Even the professors went silent. Ava stood up slightly. No, Luca. Don't. He raised a hand gently without looking at her. Let me finish. Then he continued. And I will personally fund her education outside of this institution if necessary. Silence again. He finally turned toward Ava. His voice softened. But I will not allow you to be punished for something you didn't do. Ava's eyes burned. You're risking everything, she whispered. Luca shook his head slightly. No, he said. I'm choosing what matters. A pause. Then quieter. And it's not them. The hearing didn't end cleanly. Nothing like this ever does. But when Ava walked out of that hall, everything felt different, heavier, but freer. Outside, the wind was cold. Ava stood near the steps, trying to process everything at once. Luca joined her a moment later. Neither of them spoke immediately. Finally, Ava broke the silence. You didn't have to do all that. Luca looked ahead. I know. Her voice softened. So why did you? A long pause. Then he said it. Not carefully, not strategically, just honestly. Because I couldn't stand watching you be treated like you're disposable. Ava turned toward him slowly. And because, he added after a beat, I'm done pretending you don't matter to me. The wind moved between them. But neither of them moved away this time. The words hung in the cold air long after Luca stopped speaking. I'm done pretending you don't matter to me. Ava didn't respond right away. Not because she didn't hear him, but because something inside her had gone completely still. Like her life had finally reached a point where running wasn't an option anymore. You can't just say things like that, she whispered. Luca looked at her. I can, Dart. That changes everything, Dino. A pause. Ava let out a shaky breath. And what am I supposed to do with that? Luca stepped closer, just enough that the space between them stopped feeling safe to ignore. "I'm not asking you to do anything," he said quietly. "I'm telling you where I stand." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The city moved around them, cars passing, students leaving buildings, life continuing like nothing had happened. But for them, everything had. Ava finally looked up at him. Her voice was softer now. "You may keep it sound so simple." "It isn't," Luca admitted. A faint, tired laugh left her lips. "Good. Because nothing about you and me has been simple since the day we met." That made something shift in his expression, almost relief. Ava turned slightly away, hugging her arms. "I spent so long thinking I had to survive everything alone," she said. "That needing someone was dangerous." She swallowed. "But then you showed up and kept refusing to let me disappear." Luca didn't interrupt. He just listened. "Something he was learning how to do better," Ava continued, voice quieter. "And I don't know when it stopped feeling like survival and started feeling like you were just there." A pause. Then she looked at him again. "And I don't know what that means either." Luca's expression softened. "It doesn't have to mean everything at once," he said. Ava blinked slightly. "It doesn't?" "No," he said simply. "Just start with the truth." Ava hesitated. Then she took a breath. "I don't hate you anymore," she admitted. Luca gave a faint, almost amused exhale. "That's progress." Ava rolled her eyes weakly. "Don't ruin it." He nodded slightly. "Okay, your turn." She looked at him carefully. A long silence passed. Then, quietly, I trust you." That hit differently. Not dramatic, not loud, but real enough to change the space between them again. Luca didn't speak immediately. When he finally did, his voice was lower. "You shouldn't have to think about it," he said. "Not with me." Ava frowned slightly. "What does that mean?" He stepped closer carefully this time. "I'm not going anywhere," he said. A pause. "Unless you ask me to." Ava searched his face like she was trying to find the catch, the manipulation, the hidden agenda. But there wasn't one. Not this time. The silence stretched again. But it didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt open, like something had finally stopped breaking between them. Ava exhaled slowly. "This is going to change everything," she said. Luca nodded. "It already has." She looked away for a second, then back at him. And this time, her voice was steadier. "Then don't make me regret it." A faint softness entered his expression. "I won't." For a moment, they just stood there. No rivalry, no noise, no expectations. Just two people who had started as forced strangers and somehow ended up regarding. Ava took a small step closer, then stopped. "Luca?" He looked at her. And she said it not perfectly, not confidently, but honestly. "Stay." Luca didn't hesitate. "I already am." And for the first time since everything began, neither of them felt like they were surviving something anymore. They felt like they were choosing it.